Welcome back to my latest travel vlog. Today I'm going to take you through in one of the most beautiful journey around one of the most beautiful cities here in Italy. We are in Florence. So if you're planning to visit Florence, this is definitely the best travel guide for you in 2023. We are now walking in Piazza Duomo, which is the main square here in Florence, and it's site of the Cattedrale di Santa Maria del Fiore, which is basically the most iconic cathedral and church here in Florence, which you cannot miss because it is a masterpiece of art and architecture. The construction of this building actually began in the 13th century, and it took 150 years, you can imagine why it took so long, to build the whole cathedral, which is insane, but it is so beautiful, stunning to stay just below that. One of the most cool things is that you can actually climb to the top of the dome. Of course, there is an entry fee to go up there, and there are over 400 steps to reach the top of the dome. So be prepared, and if you have some heart condition, I do not recommend that. You need to book the visit online or through the ticket offices around the city. And to get instead in the main entrance of the cathedral, that's free, but there is like literally probably a couple of hours of queue during the weekend, so be ready for that. A trip to Florence is not complete if you are not visiting la Galleria degli Uffizi. Galleria degli Uffizi is one of the world's most famous art museum in Italy and in the world, I'd say, which is home of some masterpieces from Michelangelo, Caravaggio, Leonardo da Vinci and Botticelli. So it is definitely a must if you're coming to Florence, and if you have the Florence card, which is something that I do strongly advise you to buy before you arrive in Florence, you have the opportunity to skip the queue and enter the museum for free. The Florence card, it costs 85 euros per person, and it gives you access to over hundreds of museums around the city. So it's definitely worth it to buy it, but bear in mind that for certain museums you will have to book in advance your visit, because these are very popular and there's a lot of people going there. So if you do visit Florence and you are planning to visit a lot of museums, do get the Florence card, and then make sure you book your visit to the museums ahead. Next up is Piazza della Signoria, which is one of the most beautiful square here in Florence, and it's home of the most beautiful sculpture here in Florence. And the Neptuno fountain is definitely one of them. But also in that side you can find many other sculpture, and here there was also David Michelangelo, until then they move it to Galleria dell'Accademia, which is our next stop today. You like it?
Do I like what?
The sculptures.
They're very amazing and beautiful.
What do you think about the architecture and the art in Italy? Are you impressed?
I could say nothing compares to the Roman art. No art that I've ever seen is more pretty than the Roman art. So, yeah.
Last but not least, you should definitely visit Galleria dell'Accademia, which is one of the most famous museums in the world, and I'd say here in Florence as well, because it's home of Michelangelo's David, which is one of the most famous sculpture in the world. So it's definitely worth it to visit this beautiful museum, but also be ready for hours of queues, and if it's like today that is raining, even more. Luckily we had a Florence card and we pre-booked ahead, so we were actually able to get in the museum just waiting for 20 minutes outside in the queue. So I really recommend you to purchase the Florence card, because that allows you to actually pre-book the visit in advance and also skip the queue. we're about to check out here in Florence, and I hope you guys did enjoy this itinerary around Florence. I have inspired you to visit Florence very much soon, and also you got all the beautiful spots to visit and all the beautiful museums that you cannot miss in your visit here in Florence. But now I hope you can smash the subscribe button for me to help me to grow this channel, and also I'll see you at the next adventure. Ciao.